Welcome back to the channel. I just wanted to preface this video by saying that all of this footage was filmed over a period of a few months. It'll probably be pretty evident in the footage. Some of it's from when it's still springtime, actually. So I did the best I could piecing it all together. It's just my work schedule makes it hard, blah, blah, blah. I know you don't care about that, whatever. I also did leave some pretty raw, unedited stuff in there of the process. Maybe kind of boring to some people. Some of you may like it. I left it in. I put a note on the screen of a time to fast forward to if you don't want to watch it all. Either way, I hope you enjoy the video, and please look forward to a future video where I'm going to be testing these brake ducts and seeing if they actually work. Hey everyone, welcome back. It's another week. Finally getting some time in on the Civic, and we were back on the brake duct project. So I already jacked the car up, got all the front brake components off, and we are left just with our hub, and we can see our factory dust shield, splash shield, whatever you want to call it, that we're going to replace. So my plan, and I don't think I mentioned this yet, is to make this kit, if it works. I'm going to test it myself. I have another friend that does track events that's going to test these for me as well. And if they work out, which I think they're going to, I'm going to offer these as a kit to the public because there's really no bolt-on option that I can find for Civics and Integras, and I'm going to try to make the kit work for both. So the plan is I'm going to make this, you know, I'm going to try to make these steps as user-friendly as possible so someone can do this at home in their own driveway or in the garage. Plan here is because this original splash shield is goes on the actual knuckle before the hub goes in. So really the right way, if you want to say that, is to pull your hub, which involves wheel bearing and all that, and I don't want to have to do that for somebody. So my plan is one of these threaded holes in the hub for the retaining screw for the rotor. You really only need one. Most people don't even use them. I'm going to drill this out larger so you can actually put a screwdriver through and get to your original bolts, and then you'll just have to make one little cut on this side to pull the shield off, and then you can put the new one on without even having to do any of that because it'll be open on that side. So we're going to get to that. So I'd recommend using some aviation snips, 10 snips for this. Might be a little tricky to get the last portion. You can use a die grinder or whatever you got laying around. Alright, so actually just slide it forward. You get more room off the hub there. There we go. Have to cut it a couple spots to get it off. You'll see once you get to it. Alright, shield's off. As you can see, just kind of cut it wide. Pulls right off of there. Now we can see our situation. Throw the rotor back on there. And then we're going to try to direct our air right, if the lighting is good enough, right into the center of the rotor. And like I mentioned before, that's how proper brake ducts actually work. Right in here acts almost as an air pump. So as this thing spins, it draws the hot air out and goes up through the vanes, out through the center of the rotor, and cools both sides of the rotor equally. Now these are just these are a power stop rotor, and they're drilled and sodded and all that, made to be a little better, but actual true like performance brake rotors, these vanes will have a direction which actually helps extract the hot air. These will work for now. I do plan on upgrading in the future, but that's our plan of attack. I got to get on there, get this rotor back on there, really get in there and try to see my best possible route to get the ducting up in there. Might be kind of hard to show some of it, so I'll show you guys what I can. Alright, so we're gonna start making our template here. My plan is to make a backing plate that fits just inside of our internal opening of the rotor here, but leave room because rotors do expand and contract. So I'm going to leave a little bit of room. Shouldn't really contract much more than this, so I'll probably leave like a 1/16 or something, a couple millimeters in between there. Easy way, get yourself a dirty finger and rub it along your edge there, and it makes a nice mark. It's been hours. I've lost count now. But this was V1, and overall I got the shape right. It cleared the rotor nicely and everything, but you know, I messed up a few times here and there trying to figure things out, and I overcut my air like inlet hole, so I had to start over, which is fine. I didn't think this one was going to be permanent anyway. It's proved to be quite the process. I, of course, always underestimate these freaking things, but I had to get on the lathe and make like a tipping wheel for my bead roller because there was no other good way for me to make that profile, the stepped profile on it. So I whipped this up on the lathe real quick, and it's working pretty good. Working good enough anyway. So I made V2. V2 is on the car. Looks pretty damn good. I'm happy with it. Fits nicely. I got my air inlet here. Let's see if I can show that. So there will be a 2.5-inch aluminum tube welded on there, a little inlet, because technically this is the outlet. So I guess it would be the outlet tube. Either way, there'll be a tube welded there, and then our flexible tubing will route from that out the front to our original duct piece we made. My 2.5-inch aluminum tube didn't show up. USPS really got me this week, but I'm going to stop there with that. I'm going to reassemble the brakes and start messing with the routing of that flexible tubing just to see how I'm going to do it, you know, get ahead of the game, because I can't go any farther really other than making the other side, which I don't know if I'll show a whole lot of because it's kind of difficult. I'll have to set the tripod up, but we'll see. But it's going good. I'm pretty stoked. Alright guys, we are back out here once again, and if you watched the last video, I was doing everything to finish up my car to get it ready for Honda meet at Gingerman, and I did everything that was actually necessary to be on track. Now I'm kind of back to some stuff that I really wanted to do, not necessarily has to be done. If I get it done before then, cool. If not, it's fine. Which is brake ducting. I did a video a couple videos ago on making the backing plates, which was the start of it. Since then I've worked on it a bit off camera just because it was a lot of work, a lot of figuring stuff out. Wouldn't have made for a very good video. So I got one side about 90% done, and I'm going to take you guys along with do the other side just because I should be able to portray it much better. But here's the piece. It's nearly done. If you remember the plate from the first video, excuse my mess here, it is bad in here right now. This was the original first plate that I made. I kind of screwed it up. I'm actually going to reuse it for the other side. The porthole's in the wrong spot, not a big deal. This is version 1 anyway. I'm just going to leave it. It'll be fine. Or I may just weld in a patch. I don't know, we'll see how much time I have. But this was the second plate that I made. Has the inlet port on it. It was very tricky to get this in there. I had to oval the tube. This is 2.5-inch tubing. And then to get that nice tight radius in there I had to do pie cuts. A little rusty on my aluminum welding. It's been a while, but overall they look okay. This just needs some finish work where I sealed up the inside of the port. Then I can bolt this on. The front bumper ducts were also made, and I've got my outlet of that just tacked on there. So it's really just getting at point A to point B now. I'm not going to fully weld this to this piece yet. I wanted to make sure I got everything really dialed in before I fully weld that. And then it's just running the flexible tubing from here to there, clamping it on. It should be good to go. If you notice the marker lines on here, I kind of want to cut these up, even though I spent a lot of time on them, and actually make it angle in so when the air hits it scoops right into the tube. Also, could be version 2. I don't know if I'll have time to do that. That'll be like a last minute thing if I do. So let's get that other plate trimmed up a bit. I already mounted it on the hub. It fits. Surprisingly, each side is the same. You can just rotate them. Get that trimmed up, and then I'll go ahead and cut the tube, oval it, and we'll get to making that. Alright, this is a little paper sleeve template I made for the other side, and I just slid it over, traced it on the pipe. It was much easier to ruin paper than tubing trying to get the right profile. Hopefully this works just like it did on the other side. It's fighting me at the moment. Trace it, trim it, see how it goes. guys, that's fitting up super nice. If I can show how tight that is. So I actually have to curve in this back part to clear the rotor hat. Or, sorry, rather, knuckle. It's hot, I'm tired. But that's the opening. See, this hole just has to be trimmed to fit this, so I will trim it up a bit, tack it on, and then trim it the rest of the way, finish weld it, and we're off. Alright guys, this thing is fit up, tacked up, fitting pretty dang nice and tight. Now it's a welding time lapse. No good way to show welding, I guess, but you know, part of the process. I have no clue where I am in footage, what clip I filmed last. All this is very all over the place, like weeks, months even apart. It's just my schedule. But I've done some stuff off camera. Excuse me. I refined the bumper ducts I made in the first video. If you watched that video, you may remember they were more like a box. They were shaped like the factory fog light, the JDM fog light housing, and it looked cool, but it just wasn't efficient. Like I was thinking, I don't know why I didn't think of it at the beginning, but the air would just kind of hit the back of the box and dead stop, and some of it might have made it into the side, into the inlet tube, but probably not efficiently. So I made it more of a scoop off camera. It was just too much. I didn't really feel like picking up the camera, but they're in. They are mounted, and if you see, they kind of curve more inward now. Straight there is going to go straight into that tube. So now, jack the car up, wheels off, backing plates on once again. Those are mounted. I can put the bumper back on and we can actually start to route our flexible hose. And these things are getting really close to done and time for testing before Honda meet. Backing plates are on. This might be one of the first times I believe I showed them bolted up to the car. Rotor on, no contact. Good to go. Bumpers on. I feel like the ducts look so much cooler now because they actually scoop air right in there. I think they're going to work. I did a little test with my blowgun on the air hose, and it really does get right in there. I'm going to try to do a little bit better demonstration on a later video. But now, got to get the brakes all bolted back up and figure out how I'm going to cut the hole through the splash guard, inner fender well splash guard, whatever the hell you want to call it. I'm drawing a blank right now. I'm tired. Okay guys, so I skipped a little bit showing connecting our flexible tubing here to our backing plate because it was just not easy to film it, but it's in there. Made these little stainless P-clamps out of some, the stainless steel, and it kept out of the way. It's lock to lock. It doesn't touch the tire. It's very tight through here, but it does articulate. So my steering's locked. I can't turn this, but it articulates lock to lock. No binding. This cycles through just how it should, and they work pretty well. I'm actually filming this clip after my track day at Honda meet. They performed well. The tubing held up. I have a couple little wear areas where the spring is starting to come out, but I did expect this flexible tubing to be kind of a consumable item. So if I can get 2 track days out of each set of tubing, that's good for me. They're not going to be run on the car just when I drive it on the streets, just to prolong the life of them, and it's not really necessary. So the tubing will be coming off for daily driving and stuff. Not that I daily drive this car, but you know what I mean. But they worked. My brakes never got hot, didn't boil any fluid, didn't smoke the pads that I could tell. They seemed to do their job, and I'm actually going to do a somewhat scientific test to see if it actually does help with heat and everything. I'm going to do that next video. Actually, I'm going to do that after, so 2 videos from now, that'll be the one. But they seem to work. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm going to get back to doing a couple other things, and please leave me a like if you did like the video. Comment, tell me what you thought. Subscribe if you're not, I'd appreciate it. And keep trying to do more cool stuff to this car. Hope you guys have a good one.